Okay, everyone, we're going to get started here shortly. It is March 12th. March 12th. Wow, this month is going by so quickly. I'm going to get started shortly here. I am going to, I don't know what I have happening here. Anyway, I'm going to record. Okay, well, listen, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. Excited to be with you here again this Friday. And we're going to do a little fireside chat. We are going to talk about something that I'm pretty passionate about, something I feel very strongly about here today. And of course, this is the type of format that, you can throw any question out you'd like. So, there's no, let's keep it to business. I don't want to get into products and stuff. I'm certainly not a product expert in any means. I want to keep it more towards business conversation. But the topic I'm going to start out with today, and it may, trigger some questions that you might have, is mindset and how important mindset is. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And then if you have questions towards that, but like I said, questions towards anything, I'm happy to do my best to try to answer those. But before we go ahead and get started, if there's people on here that may not know me, I have been involved in this industry now of network marketing for 32 years. My background, before I entered the industry, I was a blue collar worker, actually lived in a small town in Minnesota, a town of about 2,000 people. And I mean, before I got involved in this industry of network marketing, I literally had not traveled more than 100 miles away from my hometown. So, this industry, right, of network marketing, I say it's a personal development program with a paycheck. I mean, the experiences that I have had, the places that I've traveled, the people that I've met, the contacts that I've made, the personal development. Jim Rohn talks about this. He said, it's not what you earn, right? It's what you become in the process. I mean, we build in network marketing, we build people. I mean, regardless of your success financially within network marketing, you grow as a person. Absolutely believe that 1,000%. Your participation, however brief, however long, however much it may be, you grow as a person being involved in this industry. But if you take it serious, if you master this, industry, it can be unbelievable. For me, it's now about $26 million in earnings, right? And I was making $9 an hour. $9 an hour working in a factory, small town Minnesota, started there right out of high school, have a learning disability, have dyslexia, still struggle with it today, had no self-esteem, no self-confidence. I mean, I went through, my, high school and grade school and young adult trying to be invisible. I mean, shy and introverted. This industry has completely and totally changed my life. And so I am, number one, an absolute, diehard believer in the life-changing power of network marketing and how it grows. I mean, again, it blows me away when I think of my life today, because I couldn't have ever imagined it, right? couldn't have ever imagined the life I'm living today. So we're going to talk about mindset, and we're going to talk about how incredibly important and powerful mindset is. And we've heard all of the cliches, right? We are what we think about, right? I mean, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. And although those are, well-known statements and they're cliches, I mean, I'm here to tell you they're absolutely true. We are what we think about. Earl Nightingale and his set of tapes, and Earl Nightingale, if you don't know, was one of kind of the original, right? I mean, you look at Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich. Earl Nightingale was in that same era. And just, I mean, one of the first people I was introduced to from a standpoint of personal development. And if you go Google it on YouTube, Earl Nightingale, and he has some unbelievable audios and videos, one of the programs that I love from Earl Nightingale is called Lead the Field, and another one called The Strangest Secret. And The Strangest Secret is really all about mindset. And, he talks about in The Strangest Secret that you are what you think about. Be careful what you think about, because it will become true, that our life is a self-fulfilling prophecy of our own thoughts. And, one of the things, a story that he tells in this set of tapes is, many of you have heard me tell this story before, and I'm going to share with you again, because it really impacted me. It really, I got it, right? When I listened to this and this analogy, this story he told, I got it. And he said, your mind is like a farmer's land. And he says, your mind, like the farmer's land, doesn't care what you plant. It will return whatever it is you plant. I mean, and he made a comparison. He says, take a farmer's land and you dig 2 little holes. And in one hole you plant corn, and in the other hole you plant nightshade, which is a deadly poison, right? And he says, you water and you take care of the land, it will return the nightshade just as easily as it will return the corn. It's whatever you're paying attention to. And he says, your mind works the exact same way. What are you paying attention to? What are you feeding? Are you feeding your fear? Are you feeding your anxiety and your frustration and, anger, or I can't do something? Or are you feeding the corn? Are you feeding something that can grow and be positive? And too many times, we get stuck in this, negative self-talk. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's this negative self-talk. And, he goes on to talk about that, we all have a conscious and we have a subconscious mind. And we're very conscious about what our conscious mind is thinking about, right? Because we're conscious, right? We know what we're thinking about. But the subconscious mind only knows what the conscious mind feeds it. The subconscious mind doesn't know right from wrong, good from bad, positive from negative. It only knows what the conscious mind feeds it. And the challenge, the problem, the mistake, right, that most people make is they're thinking about the wrong things. They're feeding, what they don't want versus what they want, right? They feed what they don't want versus what they want. They're feeding the stress and the frustration and the anger and the anxiety and the self-doubt. They're feeding that. And he talked about how it's so important to, as Napoleon Hill said in his book, Think and Grow Rich, he says, if you can learn to control your mind, you can control your destiny here on earth. And most people have a very difficult time with this, controlling their thoughts, this negative self-talk that's constantly telling you can't do something, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, good things can't happen to you. We're raised this way. And one of the things, I want to tell you another story before I move on. And this was another very impactful story for me. And it was from Zig Ziglar. And it was the very first live personal development program that I ever went to. Zig Ziglar, it was in Fargo, North Dakota. And Zig told a story that day. He called it the flea training story. And it very much helps you understand our environment, right? We're victims of our environment, our upbringing. We form opinions and our knowledge, comes from our environment, the way we have grown up. And he tells a story that he says people are flea trained. And what he meant by that, he says, if you take a fruit jar and he says you fill that fruit jar full of fleas, and these fleas like to jump. And he says, if you don't put a lid on the jar, the fleas will jump right out of the jar. But he says, if you put a lid on the jar, these fleas will continue to jump, and they hit their head on the lid. And so what happens, they love to jump. And he says, what happens, their head begins to get sore. So because they love to jump, they get conditioned, they can't get out of the jar. So they jump just high enough so they don't hit their head anymore. And he says, you can take the lid off of the jar, and he says, they'll never jump out, because they've been conditioned, they can't get out of the jar. And then he went and he explained this, how this is kind of the way our upbringing is, right? We begin to be flea trained when we're babies, right? I mean, what's one of the first words we hear constantly? No, 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 no. I mean, because a baby knows no boundaries, right? I mean, they're exploring, and as you age, you're exploring, and it's initially our parents that begin to flea train us. Then it's school begins to flea train us. We can't do things. They put the lid on the jar, and they tell us what we can or can't do. And what personal development has done for me, what understanding mindset has done for me, what this industry of network marketing has done for me is, because the lid is off of the jar, right? Understand, the lid is off of the jar. The problem is you're conditioned from your upbringing, from your schooling, from your environment, that you can't get out of the jar. And so what personal development, what network marketing, what this mindset has done for me is it's taken me out of the jar. It's allowed me to jump out of the jar. And so I want to explore this topic today and explore, think about what it is that's consuming your thoughts. Because here's whatever your thoughts are is your reality. Whatever's consuming your thoughts is your reality. I mean, if you're thinking about all the challenges and the problems and the frustrations that you have in your life, guess what? You just get more. But if you think about the solutions, if you think about the possibilities, if you think about what you can do about your situation versus, falling in this pit of self-pity and blame and excuses, and nothing good ever happens to me, it just becomes more and more of that, right? I mean, we are 100% responsible for where we are, regardless of what happens, in our environment, regardless of what happens around us in our circumstances or whatever. We still make decisions. We make decisions. Another great story by Earl Nightingale is he told this story about these two brothers, and he asked the brothers the same question. He says, what do you attribute to the way you are, the outcome of your life? And the one brother was a drunk, right? And he answered, well, what would you expect? My dad was a drunk. And so he chose the path. This is my destiny. This is my path. My dad was a drunk. I'm going to be a drunk. The other brother, never touched the stuff. And he answered with the same thing. What would you expect? My dad was a drunk, because he chose the exact opposite. Everything in life comes down to choices, right? We can, and our choices determine the outcome. Two people, identical circumstances, different decision, different outcome. And so, what can influence these choices are our negative self-talk. We can talk ourselves out of things. We're, afraid to take risks. We're afraid to try new things, because of our upbringing, because of our negative self-talk, because of this self-doubt that lives in all of us. And so how do we control this? How do we overcome this negative self-talk, this self-doubt and all of these types of things? And so one of the things that we can do is be conscious of it, be conscious of what we're thinking, and stop it, right? I mean, consciously stop the negative self-talk. Constantly be aware of what your thoughts are and change. So for me, because I'm human, just like everyone else. I mean, I deal with negatives. I deal with self-doubt. I deal with negative self-talk, and and it's powerful. It's powerful, and so you have to be conscious of it. And sometimes I'm good at it. Sometimes I'm not so good at it. Sometimes I'm great at it. Is doing what you can to stop it by, for me, I have an affirmation. I have an affirmation that I say to myself, right? And it's kind of corny. Okay, I'm going to give it to you. And you can't say this affirmation without feeling good or without smiling. Okay, and so here it is. It's I feel good. I feel fine. I feel this way all the time. Why? I'll tell you why. I'm happy, healthy, fit, confident, authentic, visionary leader full of gratitude, wisdom, and understanding for others with an intuitive edge. That is what that's the way I believe I am, right? But do you hear the first two words I said there? I am. See, too many times people think of I will, okay, or I want versus I am. Okay, I am is incredibly, incredibly powerful. And this morning on Facebook, I'm scrolling through, I'm having my morning coffee, I'm scrolling through Facebook, and I saw Don Ball says wearing her power shirt. And if you can see her there, I'm going to unpin myself, Don, so people can see your shirt here. Let me see, how do I unpin myself? Okay, right there, remove pin. Don Ball, if you could come off of mute and show everybody, so you're full screen, show everybody your shirt, and it's I am. And just, I know you understand the meaning of what I'm talking about here because of your comment about your shirt. And so maybe just for everybody else, just maybe expand on that shirt. Don, are you able to?
Absolutely, yes. Can you hear me?
I can, but you're not coming full screen. Okay, there you are. Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. I don't know if it's me or you, but
it might be me. We're having some internet trouble, but I'm going to try the best I can.
Oh, are you having storms in Florida?
I love everything you said. No storms, just there's some Comcast issues. So.
Okay. Well, anyway, share us your.
But I love everything you said. Our words do have power, and it's actually. Can you hear me?
No, you're really breaking up on us.
I don't know. Can you hear me, John?
I can hear you right now. Go ahead and try. You're real scratchy, though.
Oh, that's a shame. I had something really good to say too. Can you hear me now?
I can barely, but you're really scratchy.
So.
Hey, Don,
our words do have power, and it's actually biblical. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. That's what the Bible says. And we really have this.
Yeah, you know what? You're breaking down. You're breaking up terribly. So
I can't hear you now. Go ahead.
Yeah, why don't you
Is that better?
Maybe you sign out and try to come back in, and maybe you'll get a better connection. I'm not sure, and I'll bring you back. You want to try that? Because I really want to hear what you have to say. Maybe sign out and come back in. And so while she's doing that, I want to share another great story, and this came from Earl Nightingale, came from this set of tapes, The Strangest Secret. And he talks about this pastor who is going down a country road, and he's thinking about what he wanted his sermon to be about that Sunday. And he saw this farmer plowing his field. And so he was just admiring this farmer's farm and his crops and just how magnificent and beautiful it was. And so he hailed the farmer down when the farmer reached the end of the field, and he says, he said to him, my good man, he says, the Lord has certainly blessed you with a magnificent farm. And the farmer replied, yes, he certainly has. But he said, you should have seen it when he had it all to himself. And you think about that statement, right? I mean, we're all given choices. We're all given a plot of land, so to speak, and it's what we do with it. We're all given a life, and it's what we do with it, right? It still comes down to choice and to free will. And so I thought that was a profound statement. And of course, then the farmer or the pastor says, you know, he had that sermon for that Sunday. But it's all in what you do with it. It's all comes down to your mindsets and how you see the world. And if you fall into that victim mode, or if you fall into this unstoppable mode and thinking about possibilities and stuff. So Don, you're back on. Let me see if you've got a better connection. Don, are you there?
She got cut off, John.
Huh. Okay. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. Well, listen, the other thing I'm just going to say from a standpoint of controlling your negative self-talk, one of the things that I do also is I'm listening to personal development all the time for, you know, whether that's, you know, for me, it's listening to stuff. That's my number one way. Watching is number two. You know, for you, it might be reading, whatever it is. But how important it is when you go to sleep at night, what it is you're thinking about, because it's feeding your subconscious. You drift off, and then you're that's what you're thinking about, and your subconscious goes to work on it. So one of the other things that I do is I go to bed, because especially with iPhones today or whatever phone, you have all these audio things. I'll go to bed listening to Earl Nightingale. I'll go to bed listening to Zig Ziglar, you know, Les Brown, or what. I go to bed listening to this stuff to get my proper thought, my, you know, good thoughts going into my head as I drift off to sleep. So my subconscious can go to work on those possibilities versus go to work on all the negatives. Okay. So Don, you back on? Do you have a better connection? I see you there. You must got a worse connection, because I don't think you can even come off of mute. Well, listen, why don't we take and see if there's anyone else that wants to share a story, or you know, how mindset has had an impact on your life, and if you have an example or a story, or you know, something that you'd like to share. You have to take yourself off of mute.
Hey, John, can I go real quick?
Yes.
Yes, so I struggled with so many things, like, you know, with the pandemic, and I remember really closely, the beginning of February. I told myself I need to do something because I'm not feeling good about personally, right? My health. It's just like there's a burden that's dragging me down. So I decided I need to get back to work, like working out, and I did. I said yes to an invitation to a boot camp. A trainer asked me if I want to do a boot camp, and without even thinking about it, I wanted a change. I wanted something that would push me. So I said yes, and a boot camp twice a week. That's how I started. This the first week of February. The next week, I'm able to do like 5 days workout, and then the following week I was able to work out like 7 days a week. Like, in fact, right now I'm at the gym, and I've been drinking this like gallon of water I prepared every day, and it totally changes my thinking, right? And it's just like making the decision and putting it in action. You know, there's so many things that, oh, we wanted to do this, oh, I want to be this, I want to do that, but then we overthink. Just like you, we are adults. We've been surrounded with all this personal development, and we know the things that we need to do, but we don't apply it. And yesterday, I don't know if I'll take it as a compliment, when my 14-year-old daughter told her other friend, my mom is so obsessed with her workout, she's so addicted with it. So I thought, like, is that good or is that bad? But you know, it's making me a better person. So I think I'll take it as a compliment coming from my 14-year-old. And you know, I keep inviting her, hey, you want to work out with me? But right now she's saying no, but hopefully she'll see, you know, a positive impact on her. So that's, I don't want to take much of the time, John. I just want to share that to everyone that's with us today. Like, do something. We all know what's best for us. Do not overthink. Take action, because we deserve it.
Yeah, well, let's expound on that a little bit, because number one, you can see it in your daily life, in your attitude, the way you feel, your energy and everything else, you taking that action, the working out, and the impact that has had on your mindset, right? I mean, no question about it, right? And that's another thing we can do to, get our prop, because what happens, and food is the same thing, we beat ourselves up, right? And I mean, that's what we do as humans. In most people, is they constantly are beating themselves up. And I think that is, almost speaks to, if Don's able to be back on here, the I am, right? I mean, in our head, we are saying the wrong things, this negative self-talk. And if you talk as not what you want to be, but seeing yourself as you are, by using those words, I am Don. Are you able to talk now? Let me see if you're better.
Can you hear me better now?
I can. Yes.
All right. That's great. So yes, it's so true. Our words have so much power, and it's actually in the Bible that life and death are in the power of the tongue. So we have to speak what we want, not what we don't have. And so many people, they speak lack and they speak negative, and that's exactly what they get. You have to speak positivity, and you have to speak increase, because that is the law of attraction. We've all heard of the law of attraction. So my shirt, I call it my power shirt. It's a gift from one of my members from our other company. And I did a talk on power words and mindset and, attracting positivity into your life. And the words I am, they're really two of the most powerful words, because what follows it, what you say after, really shapes your life. So, I get up every day and I speak positive. Even if I don't feel it, nobody will ever know. And I say that just like you, John, I'm happy. I am healthy. I am a great mom. I'm a great sister. I'm a great friend. I'm trustworthy. I'm a powerful, inspirational leader. I am a life changer. And I also say that I'm attracting leaders and positivity into my life. And, we even have the ability to speak that and declare that over our kids. We have that authority as parents. That's a whole nother topic. But words do definitely have power. And this is always a special shirt to me. And thanks for that reminder today. And I'm glad you can hear me. Our internet has been down. They've been doing work up the road. So I am so sorry that happened.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thank you so much. And I saw that this morning, and I had made the decision last night of what I was going to talk about today on the thing. And here it is this morning. I see your shirt, and you talked about the power of your word, your power shirt. And so I'm really glad that you were joined us today to share that.
That was perfect.
And you talked about how you can speak it into others, right? And your kids and everything else. And that is really true, right? I mean, when we hear something, repeat it. Matter of fact, if you've ever heard that story, 3 people can make you sick, right? You go to work and you're feeling fine. And, the first person you encounter, says, how are you? Are you feeling okay today? And you're probably, yeah, I feel fine. I'm feeling okay. And then the next person asks you kind of the same question. Are you okay? Are you feeling okay? And you might think, I don't know, maybe I am feeling a little bit off. And the third person's like, I think you're right. I need to go home. I'm sick.
It's true. You do. You start to question it. And it's funny because if you live with my husband, if I say, oh my gosh, I'm tired, or I think I'm getting a sore throat, he's like, oh no, don't speak that. He's like Mr. Positivity.
But it is, what you're talking about is so powerful. We can make ourselves sick. We can make ourselves feel good. And I saw something Eric Worre posted yesterday as well, and I shared it on my Facebook wall. And he said, you're never going to, let me see if I can remember it. I probably won't get it perfectly, but essentially what it was is he said, if you only work when you feel good, you're not going to get much done. right? Because I mean, we all have off days. We all have days where we don't want to do anything, and it's pushing through that. And many times what we need to do to push through that is action, like Raphael talked about, just doing it. I can, I am, I will do this. Using that word I is very, very powerful in pushing through that, because it really, I mean, even the other day, I was like, I haven't hiked since Sunday and I need to get out there, and the weather was miserable and it was kind of, raining off and on here. And I just said, no, I'm going to do it. And so going from feeling, upset with myself to overcoming, getting rid of the excuses and just getting out there and doing the hike, it just empowers you, it energizes you. And so so one of the things I want you guys to really think about is be really conscious of your self-talk. Really think about what it is you're saying to yourself, that self-talk, that negative thinking. And if you can make a conscious decision to catch yourself, change the narrative, be mindful of what you're thinking about, be mindful of what you're saying to yourself, be mindful about what you're saying to others, because you're putting intention into their life by your own words, right? Especially if you have influence over that person. So anyone else want to comment or talk about this?
John, I'll say something. Hi, this is Roger Cobbs. Let me tell you something. I just recently signed up for the Vow Tribe system. And believe me, everybody from Vow Tribe, they probably know me by now, because I've asked 5 or 6 questions and everyone's answering my questions and everyone's helping me. So thank you, Vow Tribe Fishing Group. And Raphael, she's been really, really, really supportive. I deal with some huge things during the day with real estate and everything, but I will tell you, I was terrified because of some of the technology part to do it. So I kept hesitating. And then Raphael stopped asking me about it. She didn't say anything. And I was like, you know what? Roger, why are you so scared and terrified? I mean, literally, I'm not scared of anything, but I was terrified to do this. And now I'm learning everything. I'm learning different parts of it, which goes to tell you, you do a little bit every day. You just do a little bit, just like, take 10 minutes, learn this, 15 minutes, learn this, eventually you learn it. So I learned so much. Now I'm about to repost. Now I got everything in. I'm about to join different groups. And it's just amazing. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
It's amazing when I said I am going to do this. And I feel so good about myself. I mean, I haven't got one client yet with a fish, but I feel awesome. So I just wanted to, we're basically on that subject. So I wanted to interject. Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you for that. A story, kind of popped into my head, and I heard this from Zig Ziglar as well. And I'm sorry, it was from Jim Rohn, and who, anyway, he it's just a funny story, and I'm going to tell it with you. And he's talking about being positive. And he said, he told a story about, this little boy who came home from school, and his dad asked him, son, how did you do on your arithmetic test? And the little boy, replied, says, Dad, I think I failed it. And the dad replied back, son, that's negative. You need to be positive. And the little boy replied back, Dad, I'm positive I failed it. But anyway, a little joke, but this whole idea of personal development, of intention and influence that we have on others or others have on us. I heard a statement once that said, if you can't change the people around you, change the people around you. Right? If you can't change the people around you, change the people around you. Think kind of a play on words, but it's very, very powerful. And it reminds me of another story. And all these stories, have an impact, and they're a great way to remember. And this was out of a book called The Traveler's Gift. by Andy Andrews. Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews. If you haven't, but it's about this guy who is really having, some bad things happen in his life. And he is just, beside himself, and he's driving down the road, speeding, and there was a patch of ice, and he spun out and he ended up in an accident. And then he ended up traveling back in time and meeting these very powerful people in history, teaching him various lessons. And one of the people that he traveled back and met was King Solomon. And King Solomon asked him basically that it was all about the impact of influence that others have on us. And he said, do you ever, he said, his name was Ponder. He says, do you have any kids? And he says, yeah, I have a daughter. I have a daughter. And he said, do you ever worry about, the people your daughter hangs around with? And he's respond, oh, absolutely. I mean, when she's hanging around with the wrong crowd, we see it in her attitude and her actions, and absolutely we see it. And so he says, so, how old is your daughter? And I think it was like 14. And said, so it really does have an impact. Other people have an impact. Who you hang out with, who you hang around with has an impact on your life, right? And your attitude and everything else. And then the question was, at what age does that stop? I mean, is it 20? Is it 25? Is it 40? Is it 50? It never stops. The people we hang out with have influence on us. And he said, if you start hanging out with liars, you'll find yourself lying. If you hang out, with people that are swearing, you'll find yourself swearing. And he said, I mean, think about how profound that is. The people that we hang around with and the impact and the influence. And that's the other thing about this industry of network marketing is it gets around like-minded, positive people that are, for the most part, right? I mean, there's exceptions to all these rules, but for the most part, they're trying to lift you up. They're trying to help you grow and introduce you to personal development. So that's the other thing I think network marketing can do is a personal development program with a paycheck. It puts you in an environment. I mean, people love misery. And I know when I first got involved in network marketing, and, I was a blue collar worker, working in a factory, working long hours. And what did we do after work? We went to happy hour, went to the bar, right? And, what do we talk about? We talk about how, our life sucks and we're broke and, we hate our job or hate our boss. And it just meant, and then I get in network marketing. And I get surrounded around all of these positive people and I start dreaming and I start, thinking about possibilities and just how that changed my mindset, being around the right people. So that's another thing to think about and look at is who are you hanging out with? Who are you hanging out with? Because coming back to that statement, if we can't change the people that we're hanging around with, we need to change the people that we're hanging around with, right? You need to get around different people. So very, very powerful things, guys. By the way, I have this little booklet that's on mindset. It's a little leather bound booklet on mindset. And, I'm not sure if you're internationally, if I could send it to you, but if you're local, here in the United States, I'd probably you can message me on Facebook and I'll try to get you a copy of this. Through private messenger, or if you have my number, you can text me your address and I'll get you a copy. And then I have, my book, Right or Almost Right. If you haven't read this, I believe it's a phenomenal book for network marketing and for personal development. Matter of fact, it's interesting. Even my daughter, when she read it, she says, "Wow, Dad, that's really a great book." And it's really not just a book on network marketing; it's a book on life, right? But anyway, anyone else have any? We're coming in on the last few minutes of our fireside chat here this morning. I've really enjoyed this topic and this conversation. But anyone else have anything they want to share with us before we close out here this morning?
John, I can say one thing.
Yes.
I love your analogy about the garden and the weeds, and I use that all the time. And I just this last week said that with a customer who was struggling, trying to figure out what to do. And I said, just free advice from one of my mentors is like, look at your garden. What can you pluck out of there that's negative and plunk back in that's positive? And, just one thing at a time. And so I just wanted to share that. Garden analogy is such an amazing, powerful piece. And that sometimes, like I even thinking of that analogy, sometimes that weed is stuck in there pretty hard. And I wrote that in my journal this week, what or who is worth your discomfort? And so, like, don't give up on pulling that weed out because it's worth it. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, that's powerful. And the thing about weeds too is they've got deep roots, right? And when you pull it off, a lot of times the roots will break off and they'll come back, right? And so it's something you have to constantly continue to cultivate and keep down, because this nightshade, this deadly poison, these weeds live in all of us. I don't care who you are, okay? They live in all of us. And we've all had challenges with this where the weeds start to creep in, the nightshade starts to affect our attitude, and misery loves company. And so what's interesting about this, when we really get down in the dumps, right? When our mindset is really messed up, we just want someone to empathize with us, someone to, it's like we don't want to listen to anyone who's trying to kill our nightshade, trying to pull our weeds, right? I mean, we get frustrated with them when they try to pull our weeds and help us pull our weeds and kill that nightshade off. It's like we're resistant to it. It's exactly what we need. So when it's the worst, when your mindset is just so, and I've witnessed this, I've experienced it myself, where this idea of misery loves company, and you just want someone to understand your misery. And if they're trying to help you out of it, you're just resistant of it, right? And so just be conscious of that, is when you're most resistant to that help, to that personal development, to that negative self-talk, to the uncomfortable spot that you might be in your life, personally, health-wise, whatever's going on in your life, you're going through something, we all have stuff, right? We all have issues. We all have our challenges, and it really is, what we're thinking about, that negative self-talk, feeding it. If we can, as Napoleon Hill says, learn to control our thoughts, learn to control our mind, we can control our destiny here on earth. So if anybody has any last minute comments, otherwise we'll say goodbye for today. And I really enjoyed this topic. Hope you got something out of it. And if nothing else, I hope you're conscious of what you're thinking about, and thinking about all those little decisions that we make and how they guide our life.
Hey, Don, I got something, brother.
Hey, Kenny.
I'm actually heading down the road, so I may not be looking at you, but I think it's really powerful what we've got our hands on. And my last company I was involved in, I basically, I struggled in that business because I surrounded myself with people who were telling me I couldn't do it. And it was very powerful because it brought me down. It brought my mindset down, and it made it hard for me to share. When you're not confident about what you've got your hands on, it makes it tough. And this was completely different. This was a completely different thing. We've got such great products that, it was easy to stand behind it. It was easy to get behind these products and say, this is amazing. And if this old hillbilly carpenter can do it, I'm telling you, I say that a lot because I want people to understand I had a hard time trying to sell anything prior to this, and it's about, because I've taken myself out the picture, I've taken myself out of it. And what I do is I share with the intention of helping, not with the intention of putting money in my pocket. And it's been such a blessing. I mean, my last company, I don't even know if I made over $20,000, and in the short couple of years I've been here, this company's paid me over $100,000, and it's just been such a blessing in my life. So I just wanted to share that. It's all about looking in the mirror. It's all about telling yourself you can, because you tell yourself every single thing you do in life, everything. You tell yourself when you're hungry, you don't eat until you tell yourself to put that bite of food in your mouth. You tell yourself you can do this, and you can. And you got to believe that, because that's what makes this work. That's what makes it so powerful. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Kenny. Thank you very much. And with that, we'll say goodbye. Appreciate everyone and appreciate all your input that you shared here today. That was fantastic. I love the interaction, and we'll talk to you again next Friday. Bye now.
Thank you, John. Loved it.
Thank you, John.